is going to have a little bit of time to talk to you about becoming a trailblazer and what they've learned along the way. I'm going to actually stand up here and introduce every single one, and then they'll go in order and talk to you. So our next panelist is Tom DeWolf. Tom became a certified trainer in January in Orlando. So that was just 6 months ago. He qualified as a trailblazer in May. Tom weaves the IP philosophy into his trauma healing work. Tom is a published author with Beacon Press and a public speaker and workshop leader at colleges, conferences, and corporations. He is featured in the Emmy-nominated PBS documentary film, Traces of the Trade. With compassion and humor, Tom illuminates a path toward healing and a more hopeful future. Tom DeWolf.
Hey! I didn't want you to say it back. I started receiving the notes from the universe about 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago, and it was right around the time that I had completed the manuscript for my first book. And I had found a literary agent to represent me, and a few months later I had a contract with Beacon Press. Very heady type. And in my book that was published in 2008, I thanked a whole bunch of people for their support and their inspiration, including a certain Mike Dooley. Now, I hadn't actually met Mike. I didn't meet him until 6 months ago in Orlando, but I gotta tell you, some of my best friends are people that I've never met. They're people who I know through their books, through the truths that they write and share that touch my heart. And I've understood the truth of infinite possibilities for a really long time, long before I even knew I knew it, you know what I mean? And in the trauma healing work that I do, I incorporate IP because I understand that thoughts become things is a scientific and biological fact that creates change in our world. And our world needs changing. It needs healing. I'm descended from the largest slave trading dynasty in US history. People that I'm related to brought more than 10,000 people in chains from West Africa to North and South America and the Caribbean islands over 3 generations and 50 years. They created a lot of trauma in this world. So this work goes right to the core of everything that I do and who I am. In 2001, I joined 9 distant relatives, cousins, to retrace the triangle slave trade route of our ancestors from this country to Ghana in West Africa and Cuba and back. And I grew up thinking that slavery was a southern thing. Come to find out that 95% of all transatlantic slave trading done out of the US was done out of the North. That all 13 original colonies practiced slavery. Our entire economy upon which this nation was built on slavery. When I returned home from Cuba to Oregon, a few months later, I flew down here to Southern California where I grew up to celebrate with my parents their 50th wedding anniversary. So this is November of 2001. And that weekend I spoke to Mr. Bailey. He's a member of one of 2 black families in the church where I grew up in Pomona, California. And I said, Mr. Bailey, I learned all of this stuff that I never learned in school. And I remember him placing his hand on my shoulder and looking right into my eyes. And he said, son, now that you know the truth, you're responsible for it. I've learned a lot of truth over the years, and I understand my responsibilities. It's why my cousins and I made the movie you heard about in my introduction, Traces of the Trade. Premiered at the Sundance Film Festival, went on PBS. It's why I write books. It's why I committed to becoming a trailblazer to share these truths in the work that I do. I'm executive director for an organization called Coming to the Table. Coming to the Table provides leadership and resources and a supportive environment for people who are interested in acknowledging and working towards healing for traumatic wounds from long ago. It's from coming to the table that I began to understand that historic wounds, when they are not healed, and present-day wounds, when they are not healed, get passed on to future generations. Why? Because our thoughts become things. And I gotta tell you, not everybody's gonna love your class or you. Some people are gonna reject this entire philosophy out of hand. Other people are gonna embrace every word. And then most everybody is gonna take something away, a lot of things away, that are gonna serve them well for the rest of their lives. We're planting seeds here. Some are gonna grow right away, some will grow later, some may not grow in this lifetime. That's okay. And some of you may feel nervous about doing this. That's okay too. We all have things about being in front of other people that are a little fearful. But I want you to understand something. You choose the things you fear. And you choose them for a reason. And what you fear is your own greatest teacher. Whoa. That was good. Mike, you should write that one down. That's a note from the universe. You know, it doesn't matter what you do after this weekend, but it matters that you do something. Okay, I'm going to remind you what Mr. Bailey reminded me in 2001. You're learning a lot of truth this weekend. Things they never taught you in school. And now, you're responsible for it.